to the 10th.
Good evening and welcome to the Manteno Village Board meeting for Monday, September 19th, 2022. Let's call the meeting to order. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Boyce?
Here.
Martin?
Here.
Dole?
Here.
Crockett?
Here.
Geske?
Here.
Phillips?
Here. We have a quorum. Tonight, as always, we begin with the approval of our minutes. In everyone's packet, we have the regular board meeting minutes from September 6, 2022. And hopefully everyone has had the opportunity to review those. Are there any changes, additions, deletions, corrections? Nothing at all, and I would accept a motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve them as presented by the clerk.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Crockett, second by Dole. Roll call.
Crockett?
Yes.
Dole? Boyce?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Geske?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Motion carries. Public participation, we have no one here, so I'm assuming we have nothing. Village President's report. One item I have on the agenda tonight that we'll be voting on in the consent agenda is a change in our liquor licensing. I have Ordinance 2210, which is an ordinance amending Title III Business Regulations, Chapter 9 Liquor, by changing Section 3-9-4 fee of the Municipal Code for the Village of Manteno. This ordinance provides regulations and fees for the issuance of temporary event liquor license for the sale and or consumption of alcohol by organizations without an established liquor license. We've had incidents in the past, and we realized that we did not have the proper licensing for some of the applications that were coming through for some of the different special events that have been created over the last few years. And so the village attorney drafted an amendment for this, to change the ordinance to be able to bring us in line for some of these special event liquor license that we get requested. We have a lot of different events, and we promote a lot of different events where somebody will want a one day or one-time liquor license for a few hours for events that they're having. So this change will be on the consent agenda and voted on tonight to bring us into line for basically what we've been practicing, but we haven't had the actual wordage correct in the ordinance book. Now, the only other items I have is just this weekend is Oktoberfest. If anybody's been uptown, you've seen the carnivals in town. There's going to be a lot of road closures, Main Streets. There's the parking lots. Some of them are closed already. Main Street will be closing down gradually over the course of the next couple days until it'll totally be closed down from Division to 3rd Street. I think probably Thursday morning or maybe before that. I don't know. But there is a schedule of when the closures are taking place, and it's be on our website and on the Chamber's website. Traffic will be obviously a little bit different. We are not, the Chamber is not sponsoring the garage sales this year, which also always brings a lot of people into town, but I know that there are a lot of garage sales that are still being scheduled by independent people, and and there's a number of garage sales that will be taking place, so I'm sure that will generate a lot of traffic besides all the traffic that comes to the town for Oktoberfest and all the events that will be happening on Main and 1st and 2nd Street. The parade, obviously, on Saturday night will also have an impact, and a lot of the streets will be closed temporarily, rerouting traffic, so please be patient and pay attention. Also, if anyone has driven down Main Street in the last week, you see that we've got our new arches and our new signs up. The lights go on at dusk or at night. They look great. I think it's a great addition to downtown, and adds a lot of ambiance, I think, with all the different lights that we have throughout our downtown area, and that's kind of the finishing touches on the Main Street project. This summer we've had a lot of construction projects with the Main Street reconstruction. Now the finishing touches on that, the new plants and flowers and benches and the sidewalks and the curbs and the new asphalt, the arches. A lot of construction out at Legacy Park, in the football program had their first game out there a couple weeks ago. I believe they have their second game coming up next week. They're using the concession stand, and all the reports that we've gotten so far that it's worked out very well. I know that there's a few things that they'd like to see added. I know, Joel, you talked to them about maybe keeping a list of things that they I think maybe needed to be still done in order to, tweak some of the things, because moving into a new facility, there's always things that, we didn't remember or forgot or, weren't made aware of. So hopefully they'll be coming to us with a list of other things that need to be completed and finished. But just the Public Works facility still is under construction, and it will be for a long time up on North Maple. That street is blocked right at Legacy Park. How much longer is that going to be blocked?
I think it should be open in the next week.
Hopefully later this week.
They'll have to finish up some asphalt, so it'll be another day or two then after.
Okay, so it'll probably be closed down for another week, but we wanted to get it open for the farming harvest season, so people coming in from that direction on the north can you'll be able to use that. But bear with us, it'll probably be at least another week before that does open up. We still have construction on South Creek Drive where the paths are being created to connect Heritage Park with County Highway 9, so it'll connect all our paths throughout the whole village. That project progresses, and I suspect it'll probably be another 3 weeks or so before that's done. And we're also taking all the old lights that we had on Main Street before. Main Street now has all brand-new lights. All the lights that were on Main Street are all being reworked and are going to be lining that path on South Creek Drive. So when that path opens up and project is completed, that will all be lit up with the lights that were repurposed from Main Street. So a lot of stuff still going on. Construction season still continues. Have a lot of traffic changes, and just like everywhere else in Illinois that you drive to, there's a lot of barricades and cones around. So please beware, especially this weekend with all the extra people. I have nothing further on the agenda. Village Administrator's report, Mr. LaRock.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing this evening.
Committee reports, Public Works and Utilities, Mr. Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no items on the agenda tonight. My next meeting is 9/27, 7 a.m. right here.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Properties and Recreation, Mr. Martin.
Yeah, all right, tonight. Jim, you want to give an update on some of the parks, especially Legacy and...
Yeah, Legacy, we've talked about it, but the fitness pad's done. The concession stand was open for the first time. It was right after our last board meeting, maybe the 10th or so. Wildcat football program had their day of football games out there on a Saturday, and from all accounts, it went really well. They really love it, having bathrooms and a full concession stand. The pavilion was full, so it was really, really nice to see a lot of people out there between Heritage Park with soccer and Legacy Park with football. We had, all of it was Morris that came out to play us, and then Heritage brings soccer from Beecher and Grant Park, so we had a lot of people on the north side and the south side of town.
Yeah, I don't think we could have those two sports together. We couldn't afford all the parking that's necessary.
Yeah.
The fact that one's on the north side, one's on the south side really works well because there are so many cars for, that are at each location.
Yep.
If we tried to have that all at one park, we'd have to pave half of Heritage or half of Legacy Park to accommodate all the cars. So
Yeah.
I think keeping them separate is probably, so far, it's worked out well, and none of the traffic bothers each other because they're on opposite ends of town.
Yeah, we had both parking lots at Legacy were full, and we had set up some golf cart parking, so there was, it was jam-packed, so it was really nice to see.
The new concession and bathrooms, they're open, or the concession obviously is only open when there's an event. What about the bathrooms?
Yep, bathrooms are open at about 6, 7 in the morning when my Public Works crew come in. They open them up, they clean them, and then the police lock them when the park closes at midnight. So, yeah, they're open every day, and we'll have them open all winter long for, if we got good weather, bad weather for the ice rink. So if that's up and going, but the bathrooms will remain.
And on the weekends, somebody's unlocking the door?
Correct.
We're going to be able to get a timer on that to automatically do it?
We've looked into that. I don't know if that's something we can try to do or not, but we've looked into it.
So if somebody's just exercising out there, walking in the middle of the day, those facilities are available?
Correct.
And actually, just to piggyback on what you were saying, with everything else going on in town, we've got soccer this weekend, we've got football home this weekend, and Friday night is senior night at the high school football, so there's going to be some people in town.
And garage sales.
And garage sales. So, should be fun.
Soccer, I think, tournament and Wednesday and Thursday night, the high school. They're
Oh,
hosting
that's
something.
right,
Yeah.
I forgot about that, so it's busy this week. It's fun.
A lot of people in town to be able to see our new stuff on Main Street.
I hope so. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Public Safety and Health, Mrs. Dole.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any items on the agenda tonight. My next public safety meeting is Wednesday, October 12th at 7 a.m. here in the Village Board Room. Talk a little bit about Oktoberfest. The weather outlook's pretty good for Oktoberfest. However, we have experienced a few years ago severe weather can pop up with little notice. Here are a few tips to consider if this happens again. When a thunderstorm is approaching, you should quickly seek shelter. Make sure you keep calm. You are the safest in buildings. Tents are generally not a safe place of refuge during a thunderstorm. There are several businesses open on Main Street during the fest, as well as the police department and the community center. Considering taking shelter in those locations if we have severe weather. Finally, listen to the fest organizer and first responders' directions to move to safe locations. And also, this is getting close to farming season again, so I heard on the radio today, look out for, be considerate and pay attention to large machinery going down the road and trucks and everything. So it is we live in a rural area, so that's coming up time for farming season too.
And this year for Oktoberfest, Jim, you're making more use of concrete barriers as opposed to, a lot of times you'll block roads off with just the small wood barriers. You're using more concrete barriers at different locations where available, or where you have them available to,
Yes, sir.
for extra safety and caution.
Correct.
And people need to keep in mind too, especially in our Main Street area, we have cameras all over the Main Street area, the whole, basically the whole downtown area it's not under surveillance because there's nobody watching the cameras. But when an event takes place, we can go back and review the camera footage. So if they see an incident or they see something that's taken place, please report it, because it can be reviewed to find out who an offender is that could potentially be charged with something if there's somebody acting foolish. Thank you, Mrs. Dole. Planning and Zoning, Mr. Crockett.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any items on the agenda this evening. We do have a Planning and Zoning Committee meeting scheduled for Tuesday, the 27th at 7 a.m. here in the Village Boardroom, and there is a Planning Commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, October 11th, 6 p.m. here in the Village Boardroom. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Crockett. Finance, Mr. Geske.
Thank you, Mayor. I have ordinance 2211, an ordinance terminating the Central Business District redevelopment project known as TIF 1 for the Village of Manteno, and payment of bills in the amount of $648,721.99. Our next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for October 12th at 7 a.m.
I think just to comment on the termination of our TIF district. The TIF district was put in place, years and years and years ago by former administrations that went on for 23 years, and then it was extended for another 12 years. So it's been in place for 35 years. It's really worked well in our case, and when we went back to our taxing bodies 12 years ago to get it extended, they all agreed that it was working well and continued on in order to allow it to continue. Now that 12 years is up and the TIF district is going to be expiring at the end of this year. And so all the money that was put into a TIF district before will now be going back to the original taxing district. So the school district, the fire department, the township, all of those taxing bodies will be the beneficiary of all the increased taxes that were put into the TIF district over the last 35 years. They'll all be getting those those taxes for next year. But saying that, we'll be losing the ability to use that TIF money for other improvements, and that's one of the reasons that we wanted to get a lot of the things done and a lot of our improvements done previous to the TIF district, coming to an end. All our facade programs that we had, partnerships with all of our businesses, and we've been talking about that for a long time, that, anybody that wanted to improve their appearance of their business, do it now because the TIF district is coming to an end. A lot of them have taken advantage of that. There's still some of them that are in the process of doing it now. But now that it is coming to an end, that money will be going back to those other taxing bodies. And it'll be, it's going to be at a lot higher rate than what they, gave up years and years ago because of all the investment that was made in that TIF district. So I think sometimes TIF districts get a bad rap, but in this case, this one worked well for the first 23 years, well for the next 12 years, and I think it'll be, a good tax increase for all the taxing bodies that will see, more dollars going to them next year. So I think it's kind of, this is what the model of the TIF district, I think, was supposed to be when it was created. Thank you, Mr. Geske. General Government, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing on the agenda tonight.
All right, so the items that we'll be voting on the consent agenda are as follows. Under old business, we have none. Under new business, we had ordinance 2210, which is an ordinance amending Title III Business Regulations, Chapter 9 Liquor by changing Section 3-9-4 fee of the Municipal Code of the Village of Manteno. Item number 2 is ordinance 2211, an ordinance terminating the Central Business District Redevelopment Project Area, TIF District Number 1, in the Village of Manteno, County of Kankakee, State of Illinois, and the payment of the bills in the amount of $648,721.99. Are there any items on the consent agenda that need to be voted on individually? Seeing none, I'd accept the motion to take a single roll call vote on the question of passage of the agenda items as read.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Martin, second by Dole. Roll call.
Martin?
Yes.
Dole?
Yes.
Boyce?
Yes.
Crockett?
Yes.
Geske?
Yes.
Phillips?
Motion passed. Motion carries. I accept the motion to approve by unanimous vote the ordinances, resolutions, motions, and orders contained in the consent agenda as read.
So moved.
Motion by Geske.
I'll second.
Second by Crockett. Roll call.
Geske?
Yes.
Crockett?
Yes.
Boyce?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Dole?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Motion carries. Comments tonight, Mr. Boyce, you got anything you need to talk about tonight?
No, it's great seeing all our projects come into order. I mean, when I drove by and saw the football program, how packed that was, it's great. I mean, it's just like, we built that park and people came, I mean, it's a lot of work, and downtown looks awesome with the arches, and we talked about that project for a couple years, we just couldn't figure, we were just trying to pull the trigger, and the contractor pulled it off and finished it on time. And if you go to Manteno, you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. That's all I got.
The expectations keep going up. I'm already hearing about the Christmas tree lights and how many more lights we're going to have, and
It's just incredible.
So the burden never goes off Public Works. The pressure just keeps building up for them to overperform more and more every year.
And we had meetings after meetings trying to figure all this stuff out, everything, so it's pretty awesome. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Mr. Martin.
Have fun this weekend. If you can't have fun here this weekend in Manteno, you can't have fun. So have fun. Find something to do and have fun.
Mrs. Dole.
Well said, well said. And thanks again to the Public Works and the Police Department and the Fire Department. They're going to have a fun-filled weekend, right? They're definitely, we appreciate the first responders, and I absolutely always appreciate the Public Works and Ryan, too. So it does a lot, and Chris. Everybody pulls this all together, so.
Well, I spoke with Chris today about public safety, and, I know the chief has got, everybody working extra hours, extra shifts, no vacations. A lot of other agencies involved in coming in here to, to make sure there's a large presence. Like Tim said, we want, and Sam said, we want everybody to come. We want everybody to have fun and everybody to, act in a manner that is, conducive to everybody having fun. So, but public safety-wise, I'm sure there'll be a large presence to make sure that everybody feels safe and content. Mr. Crockett.
No comments, Mayor.
Mr. Geske.
One of the downsides of sitting on this side of the room is everyone gets to go first. It's great to see all of the investments we put in our community coming into use, and think about the pickleball court. I don't know who goes past there, but every morning I drive my daughter off at school, that pickleball court is slammed. That's so cool to see people using that. Our bike paths, the football, square on second, everything is great. So the only two things that I guess I want to address is with football being out at Legacy, a little bit of growing pains. Golf carts not allowed in the park. Some people saw some of the golf carts there, that the first game they had, that was the football organization. They are getting signs made up for their golf carts, just like soccer uses out at Heritage. So just a reminder not to be using your golf carts in the park. And then the garbage, we had no idea how big of a success it would be. And some of the garbage, I saw some Facebook ads and stuff, people complain about it, that they thought people were using it as a dump. That was, they had so much concessions there, they couldn't have even fathomed. It's their, I think they beat their concessions by 50% from what they've ever done in the past. So, learning curve, right? But we'll get it right, and I think, Jim, you've already addressed that, so there'll be more good things to come.
Is the food?
Well, I think that's,
You're hungry and lunch.
that's a learning curve, that, when I say that, the fact that they were able to sell so many more products created more garbage, and we just, we had a dumpster there, but it wasn't big enough. And so, I mean, those are the things that we want them to, to let us know what can we do to make it continue to be
It's a
successful.
good problem to have.
Yes, exactly.
Just like if we run out of parking downtown, that's a good problem to
Well,
have.
that means there's a lot of people downtown, right? When, Mr. Phillips?
Yes, I hope everybody has a safe weekend and a good time.
Thank you. And the one other thing we wanted to just remind people, because I know what's going to happen, is the deadline's going to come and go, and some people are not going to have filed their tax rebates. We are accepting the tax rebates for single-family owner-occupied residences for the tax bill that you received earlier this year in May and June, the tax bill that you paid in June, and you paid the final installment in September. The village portion of that tax bill is eligible for a rebate if you lived in your house for the whole year of 2021, that tax year that the tax bill is for. But you have to file a form, a one-page, very simple form, supply us with a couple of documents showing that you lived in the house, that it's not a rental house, that you did not collect rental income, that you occupied that house during that taxable year. We want everybody who is entitled to get the rebate to get it, but you have to fill out the form, and you have to have that done by October 31st. If people call on November 1st and they didn't know about it, it's too late. I mean, we've been announcing this at meetings for the last 5 or 6 months. We've had it on signs, we've had it on Facebook, we've had it on social media throughout the community, we've had it on Chamber of Commerce. We talk about it every place we go. There's been articles in the Manteno Vedette, in the Daily Journal. We've done everything but go door to door and send up smoke signals. But I know somebody will come after the deadline and say, hey, I didn't know anything about it. Well, that's your fault. Shame on you if you don't know about it and you don't get the paperwork filed. We're doing everything we can do to make sure you're aware of it. And if it comes November 1st, you did not file the paperwork, then you're just out of luck and not going to get that check. And it's nobody's fault but your own. So please, go to the Village Hall, go on our webpage, get the documentation that you need, fill it out, submit it, and then you will receive a check if you qualify back in the first couple weeks of December, right before Christmas of this year. But if you don't, you won't. So it's, people should be on notice. It's just, it's too late is just going to be too bad. And that's just, there's got to be deadlines or we'll never get it done. So please, talk to your neighbor about it. Anybody who qualifies, we want them to get it, but they've got to take the initiative on their own too. So with that, I have nothing further. Is there I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that.
Motion by Boyce.
Second.
Second by Dole. Roll call.
Boyce?
Yes.
Dole?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Crockett?
Yes.
Geske?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much for coming and for watching.